Hey everybody, this is Pastor Jennifer, lead pastor here at Jackson Revival Center Church. We want to welcome you into the break room. We are so excited to have with us today Mr. Rafael Green of Gilmer Green Attorneys at Law. Welcome into the break room.
Thank you for having me, Pastor. It's
Absolutely.
Such a pleasure.
I promise you the pleasure's all mine. I'm excited.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you with us today. Just for the people who may not know you, tell us a little bit about Rafael Green. Tell us about Gilmer Green, and tell us just kind of how you got into law. We'll start there.
I guess the big thing about my life is that none of it has been by my design.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I started Jackson State University, graduated political science, really didn't know what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at a law firm where they did nursing home cases. And I got an aunt. My aunt is an attorney, Vanessa Green. I don't know if you know her.
I do.
But she was able to get me the job there, worked there for a number of years, still really didn't know what I wanted to do until they started letting me see a little bit of the practice.
Right.
I had some connects, the individuals who were above me, knew some individuals at the law school, and, the dots just connected.
Right.
So went to MC Law School, graduated 2012, passed the bar 2014, started with Precious Martin & Associates, working under him for a number of years. Then he passed 2014, and Judge Crystal Wise Martin took over.
Right.
I kind of been thrust into the fire at that point. Had a number of trials. Right out of the gate, I was practicing law.
They broke you in quick.
And you know what? I think God says, you know what, Ralph, you just don't do stuff when I tell you to do it, so I got to push you out there.
Right.
So he pushes me out there, and in that situation, he pushed me out there. Ended up trying my first case maybe a month after I was barred in, and had been handling personal injury cases since then until now. 2018, Judge Martin, well, she was Crystal Martin at the time. Right. She ran for judge. She's the Hinds County Chancery Court judge now. 2019, again, pushed out to do something that I may not have been ready to do. Right. I think you and I may have had a conversation about it. Yep. And you said, hey, what you want to do? You want to focus on your career? You want to focus on your personal life? I said, I want to focus on my career. You said, do it. Yeah. Ended up doing it, starting Gilmer Green Legal Group in 2019 February. Wow. Ever since then, it has just been not a roller coaster, but God has been taking us in places that we never thought we would go. Doors have been opening. We have been able to help so many people. Personal injury cases, domestic cases, those are divorces, child support cases, just a little bit of everything, man. And what I've realized our practice is for is to help the community that, really doesn't have representation. Right. You see billboards about car wrecks. You see billboards about personal injury. Right. You don't see billboard about child support. That's right. You don't see billboards about divorces in our community. That's right. You go to those other firms. You go to, I won't call their names, but those billboard firms and ask them to handle something that's affecting our community. Right. They can't do it. Yeah. So we pride ourselves on, of course, taking the personal injury cases, but being able to help our community in the process. So, I think that's what we've been put here to do. We're community attorneys. Absolutely. That's what we call ourselves. Absolutely. And we've just been trudging along since 2019. Can't believe it's 2021. Yeah. COVID changed a lot of things for people. And that's something to talk about for sure, because so many times people talk about COVID from the healthcare standpoint, but COVID truly has affected everything. It has. It's affected the law. It's affected restaurants. Right. It's affected the church. Yeah, absolutely. And as you can imagine, a lot of our, person-to-person contact has went down over the years, over the past year. And we do a lot of things virtually now. Virtual consultations. We go to church virtually. That's right. That's right. So we had to change. We had jury trials. You couldn't have them during COVID. So now we're ramping back up on jury trials. And what I've seen is that people now are wanting to make sure they get things covered before, something happens.
Right.
Because COVID, you with COVID around, you just never know what could happen.
So let's talk about several things. One, so those cases that were supposed to go before a jury that could no longer go before a jury during COVID because people were not able to gather together. So is there now a backlog and basically having to catch up, or how is that working?
So it's weird, but Hinds County, it's a lot of individuals in one area. So, they had to bring in more judges in Hinds County to handle some of the backlog, especially the criminal, right? Right. Because you're dealing with constitutional rights then. Right to a speedy trial.
That's right.
So if you don't get a right to a speedy trial and you're sitting in jail for a year because of COVID, because they're not holding the trials, that's an issue. Right? Yeah. So
are those cases, if they do not come before a judge within a specified period of time, is that automatically thrown out?
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, no. Okay. They are either held in jail or they either let out of jail. I know some individuals in jail petition the court and say, hey, my crime was not a violent crime. Right. Let me out given COVID. And some judges let those individuals out. But even through COVID, a lot of judges tried those criminal cases. So they were able to have their cases heard. But a lot of civil cases, those are the cases that I handle. Chancery court cases, those are the cases that we handle. Those cases were pushed. Judges didn't want you to have 1 million witnesses coming in testifying. I'm not just talking about the civil side, which is personal injury. I'm talking about the divorces, right? So even with divorces, you have witnesses to come in. Right. Judges don't want all those people in the courtroom now. Right. All right. So if it's something they can push, they push it. And that's what's been happening. So you got attorneys going to court every day because those things that were on the docket for last year are now on the docket this year. Gotcha. And with everybody getting vaccinated and the world seemingly opening back up, yes, we are busy.
Gotcha. Yep. Gotcha. So let's talk about a couple of things, because I love the fact that you're helping people with child support, those who need to be divorced. And yes, I'm a pastor, and so no, I'm not just pushing people to get a divorce, but where there are legal grounds for dissolving a marriage, sometimes it's necessary. Right. One of the things we heard about during the early months of COVID was the increase in alcoholism and substance abuse, the increase in the number of domestic violence cases. Right. Are you seeing that from your side?
Most definitely. So, and I don't know what it is. I think when COVID happened, people were confined. Right. Couldn't leave. You were on lockdown, and you were in a home with a person that you may not have necessarily been in a home with for a number of hours. Right. Both of you guys working from the house. Now you get a chance to see who Ralph is. Right. Right. All right. So those times when you can leave the house and just blow off some steam, you can't do that anymore. You got to sit there and work it out. And what we found is a lot of them come to us and they say irreconcilable differences. We just can't do it. Yeah. And that's what we've been seeing over the past year. A lot of individuals with these irreconcilable differences cases, meaning that both of us agree that we can't go forward. And but the big issue comes when you have those divorce cases and you have kids involved. Right. So even though we want a divorce, who's gonna get the kids? Right. And that ends up becoming an issue. But yes, I've been seeing a rise in divorces, and I've also been seeing a rise in wills and estates, right?
And that is something that is so important. Right. We actually did a feature last year talking about documents that people should have in place. Rafael, I saw so many people who lost loved ones who there was nothing in place. So not only were we dealing with COVID, they're having to manage the emotions that come along with losing a loved one, but then also the devastation of not having a clear-cut path. Some didn't know what to do as it related to medical decisions. Some did not know what to do when it came time to plan that funeral, to divide the estate. So let's talk about that.
So, of course, what we've seen during COVID is people, they're leaving, right? A lot of older people are leaving, right? Young folks are leaving, and I just give a personal testament, right? I got COVID, and at a certain point in time, I didn't know what was going to happen, all right? So in that moment, I said, wait a minute, do I have my affairs in order? Right. What's my life insurance like? If somebody needs to make a decision, who's going to make the decision? Right. So what we've been seeing more of, and I'm glad, is more individuals coming in for these power of attorney, healthcare directives, these wills. And if you're over the age of 21, you need to have a healthcare directive, power of attorney, or a will. All right.
And what about like young moms? Maybe they're 18 and they've got children or a child. What should they do?
If young moms have a kid, they can have a living will. In some instances, like I said, if they're out on their own, they've been emancipated. If you've been emancipated, you can be emancipated at 18. Right. So if you've been emancipated at 18 years old, you know, you can do whatever you want to do as far as a healthcare directive or having a will. All right. In this instance, if they have one child, anything, if they die, those things will more than likely go to that child because that child will be the beneficiary, the only heir. But yes, I don't. You know, if you've seen what's going on, you know now is the time to get your affairs in order. And we don't like to talk about it. I don't like to talk about it.
Some people feel like if they address it, it causes it to happen, but it does not. It does not.
The hardest decision I had to make, and scared me the most, was getting life insurance, and the healthcare directive, figuring out who's gonna say yes or no when it comes down to a health decision for Ralph. So yes, now is the time. I'm saying it. Now is the time. Don't wait.
And let me. I hate to interrupt, but I want to catch a couple of things. So, you know, sometimes there are people when they hear these conversations, they hear, I need a healthcare directive, I need a will or a living will, but they feel like they can't afford it. They automatically hear the word attorney and they think thousands and thousands of dollars. If somebody wants to come and get a simple will or a simple healthcare directive, what are they looking at financially?
All right, so it really all depends on what you have. All right. We have a lot of individuals who just have a home, right? And if you come in and you're so-and-so, you got a home and you want to leave their home to, you know, one child, whoever it may be, you know, you're not looking at $1,000. Right. I mean, $1,000, that's on the top end when we're talking about creating a will. Right. Now, if somebody comes to us with a will and says, hey, I want you to probate that will, I want you to, you know, be responsible for how everything gets dispersed, that's going to be a little bit more. But as far as getting a will, if you're paying over $1,000, that's an issue. Right. Okay. Power of attorney, paying over $500, that's an issue. All right. And that's just for me, right?
So
we're community-based attorneys. That I don't want to step on any other attorney's toes. Sure. But at a certain point in time, I mean, that's a document that I can sit down and have one conversation with you. I can get it done.
That's right. That's right.
Same with the will. I can have a couple conversations with you and get that done. Now, we've had individuals who come in with a lot of property. Right. We have to do some investigation, see how much a house is worth.
Make sure clear title. Things of
at that point in time, yes, the price can go up, and then at that we're held on retainer
because your investment of time goes up.
Yes. Yes. So some are flat fee, some are retainer. It depends on what you got. Right.
And so when they get a will, do you file those with the court, or you wait until someone's demise to do that?
So when you get a will, and this is something I tell everybody, because some people, they go to regular people, people who aren't attorneys, and I'm not, you know, beating anybody down for not being an attorney, but at the end of the day, if I need something done and I'm not an expert in that field, I'm going to call an expert.
That's right.
If I want to understand the word, I'm going to call Pastor Jennifer.
That's right.
That's just how it works. So in this instance, you call me and I get it done for you. You only go to court once that person passes, right? If that person passes, then you would file it with the court and have it probated with the court. before that, so I'll give a tip right quick. Legal tip. When you're doing a will, you got to make sure that you got 2 witnesses, right?
Okay.
And you need to make sure that it's notarized.
That's right.
I've seen so many wills come in my office and they have not either been notarized or they don't have those 2 witnesses.
Gotcha.
2 witnesses, they cannot be related to you. They need to be individuals who will not gain anything from the will.
So you don't want people named in the will signing as your witnesses.
No.
Because that is...
It's a red flag.
That's right.
Right. Right. That's a red flag. So if if you are not going to attorney and you out here trying to do it on your own, just know when you come to my office that I'm looking for those 2 witnesses and I'm looking for their notary stamp on it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when I file it with the court, the judge is going to say, hey, Ralph, where... all I see is 1 signature. Right. This could possibly be what the decedent wanted to happen with it, but you know what the law is, Mr. Green, right? So at a certain point, that's why I say go to the experts. Right. All right. Pay the money.
And notary shouldn't be your family member either.
No. It shouldn't be because we'll leave that for another day.
Yeah. So it's a matter of making sure you're going to someone who does this for a living, who knows, all the ins and outs of what it means for that to be a legal document.
Most definitely. And I also think that when you come to an office, you want somebody who you know is going to take care of you. Right. So, some people out there that just want to make money and they do a quick turnaround. Well, I want to make sure that I've dotted every I and crossed every T. Right. So at the end of the day, you come in, you get a chance to look over your document, make sure, I don't care who your attorney is. I don't care if you trust them to the hills. Yeah. You make sure you look over your document and make sure it's right because when you're gone, it's etched in stone, right? Also, I want to add that we want to do these things before we get sick. That's right. I've had individuals bring in their mother or father to the office and you can tell they are not competent, right? They are, they're having some issues with memory loss, and at that point, it's just too late. And at that point, if you want things done, say with the bank accounts or with land, you will end up having to do a conservatorship or a guardianship, right? And those things are done while the individual is living. But it's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. And, so you got $1,000 or you're going to end up paying me $3,000. Right.
So it's best to come when you're of sound mind, strong in your body, know what you want to do with these things, and not wait until someone is sick or going through treatment where they may be, diminished cognitively or physically. Even as we go back to a COVID conversation, there have been people who were diagnosed with COVID one day and gone from this earth a day later, 2 days later. Yep. So a lot of times people are thinking, well, if something happens, I'll still have time. I've seen people, car accident, gone. Right. They were great. They were healthy that morning. Everything was fine. And that afternoon they were gone.
You just never know.
That's right.
You never know when it's your time. And just speaking on my situation with COVID, at a certain point in time, I was feeling okay. First 7 days, I was fine. And then out of nowhere, it took a turn for the worse. Ended up getting pneumonia. Recovery is still recovering. At this point. So you just never know. So these things are in place for a reason. I'm telling you, everybody else is doing it. Our counterparts are doing those things. And that's a way where we can keep the wealth going, right?
I'm so glad you said that because that is something that those who watch Me In The Breakroom have heard me talk about. One death, the death of one family member can throw a whole family into a cycle of poverty. If it's your main breadwinner, the main provider, it can throw everything into a cycle of, sometimes transportation is lost. Sometimes that income coming in is lost. And now those who are left behind are not only grieving the loss of a loved one, but they're grieving the loss of life as they knew it. Whether it be the standard of living has changed, or they can be pushed into a whole lot having to move.
Right.
You know, that changes schools, that changes jobs. You know, just so many, you know, negative effects can take place. Yeah. And so let's talk about that.
And I guess what I've realized is that you may have a little money, and if you die, you think your kids are gonna get their money. Just go. No, it doesn't happen that fast, right?
Right.
So if someone passes, we want the transition to be as smooth as possible, right? So if you die and you don't have a will, you have to go before the court. You have to open an estate. You have to appoint administrator of the estate. The judge has to know who all the heirs are. Right. The judge has to know what's all in the estate. And it takes months or even years for that money to funnel down to the individuals who are supposed to get it. So I may know in my mind who I want to have my stuff, but if I pass without a will or, letting anybody know what's supposed to happen, those people that you say are going to be thrown off. And that's what's happened over the years. I've seen individuals come in and say, hey, I need this property because this, that, and the other, it's oil reserves on it and they want to rent it. Yeah. But I see 5 individuals' names on the deed, right? And if they would have handled that before they died, those 5 individuals wouldn't have been on there. Right. Well, Daddy told me it was going to go to me. No, well, the deed says it's 5 individuals, and those are your brothers and sisters, right? Right. So the fact that you have it while you're here, right? I think the ultimate goal is to make sure that it lasts for generations. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do before you die, those things will get held up in the court system, right? Yeah. And they'll just end up sitting with nothing being done on. Because at a certain point, those individuals don't have money to come hire me to do an estate, to get everybody's name on it, to see who the heirs are. So they just go along, in life not having a property. Right. And it just makes no sense. Right. So if we do those things before we get out of here, if we do them when we have a sound mind, I don't know, we got to do yoga before before we do it. If we need to go in prayer before before it happens, but we need to make those decisions. It's pertinent. It's right now. It's pertinent to do it. I'm not.
The Bible even admonishes. The Bible says a righteous man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So even the Word of God instructs us that we are to be leaving generational blessings when we go from this earth. So the only way to do it is to take care of it while we are here.
And I guess I'm 35 years old. When I'm thinking when I was 25, if I had anything, but I was not thinking about death. Yeah. Yeah. And I think in these times, I just impress upon everybody. I don't care how old you are. Yeah. Make those decisions. Right. Because you just never know. Yeah. I mean, I saw the accident that happened on I-55 going to Vicksburg with those individuals that passed. And I mean, you just never know when something can happen. Right. And I know you don't want to think about it. I know you don't.
I know. But they're not fun conversations to have.
They are not. And losing a loved one is not fun. You don't want to have to deal with the mess of somebody who didn't leave their affairs in order. Right. You're running around the house trying to find documents, trying to see where things are. Now, you want to be able to call that person's attorney and say, hey, I know that you were his attorney. Right. Did he have anything? Did he have a will? Right. Yeah, he had a will. Come down to the office. Let's get it done.
So what are some documents everybody should have?
Everybody, in my opinion, should have a power of attorney. Okay. All right. Power of attorney is a document that gives power to an individual if you ever become a place where you can't handle your affairs. Right. Everybody should have a will. I mean that's just the easy deal. Will, power of attorney, durable power of attorney. Durable power of attorney handles the healthcare provisions as well as finances while you're alive. Right. So even though I'm alive, maybe in a vegetative state or unconscious, whatever the case may be, that person can handle my affairs, and it's a person I know and trust. Right. I want to be able to make the decision. I know there's some control freaks out there. That's what I'm
right.
And there's some people that want to control stuff even while they're unconscious. Right. Yeah. And that's the way you can do it. Control freaks. Do it. That's make sure you do it. Before it's too late, because you never know. So power of attorney, as far as just the health care portion, that's a document. But I would also make it a durable power of attorney, not just a healthcare directive, but I would turn it into a durable power of attorney where it's about healthcare and it's about finances, right?
Right.
Because if I have a vehicle that needs the notes paid on it, I want them paid on time.
That's
because you never know. I may come back. I may bounce back.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it in the hands of somebody who I trust, not somebody who's going to,
wipe the account out.
Exactly. They go get their card, swipe it, and they gonna take everything out of it. Right. Yeah. You don't want to get somebody who's who's not capable of handling your affairs, who you don't trust.
Right.
So if you have the durable power of attorney and have a will, durable power of attorney is before you die. Right. All right. The will is after. Right. Those are the two things that I would say you should have. Now, in some states, they have what's called a living will. Mississippi, they really hold that in the same regard as a power of attorney or a healthcare directive. So we call it a living will, but it's really a healthcare directive, durable power of attorney. Yeah. So before you die, durable power of attorney. Yes. Right? And a will. A will handles the affairs after you're gone.
Right.
I've had a lot of individuals, they bring the will in, and it's missing somebody, right? Well, me and Daddy, we were on good terms when he died. I really took care of him. Right. He didn't change that will. The will shows what he wanted to happen with his property. Unfortunately for you. Yeah. So I'm not saying browbeat your father. Your mother, right. But just make sure that you revise it. The law is ever changing, right? Our lives are ever changing. A will, in my opinion, is a living, breathing document. Right? That's right. You're always changing because I get new property. Yeah. I get more money, get different accounts.
Children are being born into the family. Sometimes loved ones are passing on.
Yes. So, but even in those situations, if you have a will and you don't go back and change anything, there's a provision that we normally put in there about the remainder, things that are not taken into consideration in the will. Gotcha. If I put a house in there, I've named the address. If I put a car in there, I've given you the make and model. If I put a bank account in there, I've given you the account number and routing number, right? If I have anything else, jewelry, that I specifically know, I'm putting that in there. But if it's something that I acquire over the years and I forget to put in there, there's a provision about the remainder, and that remainder can go to whoever you want it to go to. Yeah, so it's a lot of things you can do. Different ways we can, change the will to fit that person, but you need to have it because you'll make it hard for your kids, whoever, your brothers or sisters, when you pass.
Very good. Yeah. So I'm appreciative for that conversation, and we're going to put those items back up there for you, for those of you who are taking notes and you're trying to get your affairs in order and make sure you have the I's dotted and the T's crossed. Sure. We're going to put that information back up there. For people who are dealing with child support cases. Yes. As a pastor, a lot of times people bring different problems, different issues. And so, I know the need for child support is great. Right. I know that there are a lot of people who kind of know how to get around the system. Let's talk about some of the services that you provide for single mothers or single fathers trying to get child support for their children. So
there are really two situations, right? Okay. It's an individual who wants to put someone on child support, and there's an individual who wants to modify child support. Okay. Right. Okay. And the modification of child support is an A and B, right? Okay. So one individual you want to put on child support, you file a petition for foliation and child support, right? And the child support issue will go before the court. The court would, of course, want the other parent in court. If there's no paternity test done, the court will order a paternity test if the name is not on the birth certificate. Okay. So, say for instance, the father, if he's not the custodial parent, he would come to court, and the judge would want to see wages, right? Looks at the wages, and for one child, the judge would attribute 14% for child support. Okay. Right? So it's based on income. It's based on income. All right, so those instances are the ones we see the most. Individuals who have not had the other parent on child support who now wants child support. The B that I was the number two I was talking about is individuals who want to modify it, right? The A of that is mothers who want a raise, or mothers or fathers who want a raise in child support, right? They know that the mother or the father is working a new job and is getting paid more money.
Right.
That amount needs to go up, right? And you know, not too many people are gonna report that they've changed.
Right,
that.
right,
The court actually orders that that person let them know when they change jobs. DHS orders them to let them know, but a lot of people don't let them know.
Right.
So if you know, you can get a modification.
Gotcha.
Right. And we have to prove that the income has went up. Right. So that's the A. That's the mothers or fathers who want a raise in child support. Now you have the mothers or fathers who want to decrease their child support obligation. Right. So I just lost my job. I was just paying $800 a month for child support. Right. Now I don't have any funds.
Right.
So judge, we need something done. I need a modification, because if you don't modify it, that's going to be debt that you accrue.
Right, and it's showing that you're not paying it.
Yes, and you see these billboards of people on, people who have not paid child support. Some of that debt is because they just lost their job and they didn't report back to the court. Gotcha. Right? You got to report back to the court.
So if they would report to the court would then work with them.
Right. The court will want to see those same documents I told you about. They want to know about your wages, and if your wages have changed and you don't have it, the court can't make you pay $800.
That's right.
It just makes no sense, right? And you have individuals who get a lower paying job.
Right, right.
And if you get a lower paying job, then of course your child support obligation can go down. But you have to prove it.
Right, right.
Right. And sometimes in sticky situations, the judge will lower it or raise it, but then want to come back and see if there's something else that needs to be done.
Right, right.
All right. So you got the one is individual who is not on child support. You want to put them on child support. 2A is the mother or father that wants a raise in child support. Or B, the mother or father that wants to decrease child support because they may have lost a job or something. So,
very good. And so you're able to help with that.
Yeah, any one of those individuals, I can help them.
And I'm assuming you probably have some access to some information they may not necessarily be able to access.
Most definitely. Now, when it comes to you coming in for modification, you not knowing whether the parent is working another job, we may have to do some investigation to find out. Right. We have to file some things with the court, and of course that's going to cost, right? Yeah. Investigations, time, cost, right? If it's something simple like the number one I was talking about, where there's no no child support at all, and we're just trying to get this person on child support, those are fairly inexpensive, right? But when you get in there and you're trying to modify child support and make the obligation more on somebody, they're going to fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They're going to fight it. So you're talking about going from $500 a month to possibly paying $1,000 a month. It's time to fight.
Right. So what about the individual who's out there who maybe their income is very little already. They're struggling, to make ends meet, but they need legal assistance. What are some options for those individuals?
Okay, well, they have Mississippi has Mississippi Legal Services. They give you legal services for free based on your income. And I'll say this: when it comes to a good attorney, I don't care how you pay them. Right. If you pay me on a monthly plan, I'll work with you.
And so that's something people need to know.
I'm one of those individuals. Right. I'm not saying I can trust you, but at a certain point, let's work on it. Right. All right. If you come in, we get on a payment plan. I'll do the work. Yeah. It's certain expenses that I have to spend out, like filing fees and service of process. But at a certain point in time, especially if I want to help you, we do payment plans, and a lot of attorneys do payment plans. So when you call and you have somebody say it's going to be $1,500, and you don't have $1,500, say, hey, well, can I come in and pay $1,000? Can I come in and pay $750? A lot of attorneys will say yes. Now, if they're community attorneys, now you got these attorneys who want what they ask for up front. On some criminal cases, some people want all their money up front because normally they don't come back and pay. But these child support cases, these domestic issues, divorces, we can work out a payment arrangement. And most attorneys work out payment arrangements on those cases. Okay. So you don't ever say you can't afford an attorney. Right. You know, and that's one thing that I think our community you know, has an issue with. I don't think they know that they have the access to justice. Right. We have, I think we came to the church a couple of years ago and we did an expungement clinic. Expungement sometimes costs $1,500 to do. Wow. Right? And we came and gave a free service. The Magnolia Bar Association did. Yes. Mississippi Association for Justice sometimes holds expungement clinics. So take advantage of the advertisements. Right? Yes, absolutely. And now more than ever, a lot of felonies can be expunged. Okay. So
give us an example of the type of felonies.
Nonviolent. Yes. Nonviolent felonies can be expunged. And I think this was just since last year. Now, you know, robberies, no, those are not expungible. Right. Murder is not expungible. You know, shooting with intent is not expungible. And I think some drug charges are not expungible. Drug charges with intent are not expungible. But some of your felonies are now expungible, where that didn't used to be the case. Yeah. So I think that you got to take advantage of those things. Absolutely. You know? And I'll say this for the individual out there who's thinking about going into a professional career but may have gotten into some trouble. At a certain point in time, I got in trouble. Yeah, right? I got in trouble, and I had a nut who helped me, and I had a nut who got my record expunged. Yes. Right? So don't think that just because you have something on your record
that you don't have a future.
Right. You got a future. And I'm telling you, like I said before, the path I'm on is not the path I set. That's right. So I may have thought that it was the end, but it wasn't the end. Right.
I think about when I look at you, when I hear your conversation, and I see your passion for helping people who need a hand up. You know, I think about the scripture that says, "Many are the plans of a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." Right. You know, that God had a plan and a purpose for your life, and making a bad decision didn't stop that plan or that purpose. And now He's positioned you to help other people, you know, coming through. You're right. And so it's just a blessing. It's a story of restoration. That is the redeeming power of God's love and His grace toward us.
And when you're going through it, it's something that you never know why. Yeah. I look back on it and I say, okay, why am I here? And sometimes, I'm not going to lie to you, I become a human and I say, hey, you know, I want this to happen. I want that to happen. And I get focused on something that's really not God's plan for me. Right. So, you know, He puts me back on track. And He says, hey, that's not the door I wanted you to walk through. That's why it's closed. That's right. That one is open. Walk through that door. Yeah. And it's a door I may have been scared to walk through, but that's the one. Yeah. So, yeah, He, you know, God has really been ordering my steps. Yeah. I cannot give anybody else the credit for that. That's right. Can't pat myself on the back for that.
That's right. Constantly stretching.
Right. And I'll just give a testament to Jackson Revival Center. You know, I started here 2014, and I was looking for a place to worship and express my worship. Yes. And this was the place. This is the place where I was being fed, and it was in a low point in my life. Yeah. I was not an attorney yet, and I was depressed. Yeah. Now, I was depressed. And coming here, hearing sermons, being able to tap in to the spirit that was here is something that got me out of that depression. And, you know, I'm appreciative of that moment in my life because now I have a foundation, right? Yes, and absolutely. So at that point in time, there was no foundation. Before, no foundation. But now I have a foundation that I've been building upon. And when I'm not on that foundation and something happens, I know. That's right. Right? Because I start sinking. I'm like, hold on, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. Take a step back. That's right. This is where I'm supposed to be. So I just want to, you know, say to JRC and say to you that I'm thankful for what you've done in my life. You know, I know we may be going off topic, but remember we had a conversation with the young adults about the I factor. Yes. And it was me, one of my friends, and my cousin. We were there, and just to hear everybody's story and what everyone went through, it made it a space for everybody to be open.
That's right.
And that was right before our law firm was birthed.
That's right.
And it was, it was eye opening, and it let me get some things off that I had not been able to get out before.
Right.
So, being connected and tapped in with this ministry has been a blessing to me. And I'm glad I can call on you.
Absolutely.
For some prayer.
Absolutely.
Whenever we need it. So
That's
I appreciate you.
Well, I tell you what, I'm the same way. Something you said earlier, you said I can't take credit for the things God has done in my life. I feel the same way. I give God the glory for Jackson Revival Center, for the people in it, for the word that God gives, for it's all Him. I tell people anything good, it's God. If it's messed up, I did it.
Blame it on me. Blame it on me.
If it's messed up, I did it.
Right.
But if it's not messed up and it's good, God did it.
Right.
We give Him the glory. But I tell you, it's such an honor and such a privilege, and that's why I don't give up on people. I just don't, because God didn't give up on me.
Right.
We've all fallen short. We've all missed the mark at some point or another.
That's crazy you say that, because I think about how I got here, and I think about people taking chances on me.
Absolutely.
Some folks took chances on me.
Yeah.
And my partner and I were talking about, maybe we're extending ourselves too much by bringing this person on. But no. We taking a chance just like somebody took a chance on us.
That's right. Absolutely. Yep. And I believe that's all that God requires, is to extend to others the love and the mercy that He has extended to us. Right. To continue to be a light in the midst of darkness. Yes. And I believe that you and your partners are doing that.
Appreciate that.
I appreciate all the good work that you guys are doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So absolutely. Well, listen, I pray that you have been blessed by today's conversation. We got to have you back.
Let me know.
Absolutely.
Let me know, because I'll come talk about car wrecks.
Yeah.
All day.
We've got to, because there are so many people who become victim of things. The Bible says my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge.
Right.
And sometimes people just don't do better because they don't know better. Sometimes people are the victim of certain things and don't realize they don't have to bear the brunt of that.
Hold me to this.
Okay.
We need to do a Know Your Rights forum here at the church.
Let's do.
And it can be we can start with criminal.
Yes.
And we can go to personal injury.
Okay.
And we can cover domestic issues. I think that'll be good.
It'll be
That's
wonderful.
something that's been on my heart for a while. I'm glad we're here. And
absolutely.
So if ever we can do that, let me know.
We can.
Dates.
Okay.
And if folks want to come out, we got information.
Absolutely.
We got information.
And listen, so you just heard it from Attorney Rafael Green. And so we're going to make these things available for you guys as well. And if there's a particular area where you need some expertise, some insight, drop it right there in the feed, drop it in the comment section, and I promise you we will come back and address that. All right? Well, I pray that you guys have been blessed by today's presentation. And if you have, I want you to share this, tag a friend, add somebody's name in the comments if they need to see this information. We appreciate you for taking time to share this hour with us. And we're looking for you to join us next week, same time, same place. Until then, it is my sincere prayer that God's absolute best would be yours in every area of your life. Y'all go make today a great day. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.